Hope everybody's having a good day. This is November 12th, 2017. I thought I would share several dreams that I've had, and one of them's going to be, from about a little over a month ago. Let's look at what I had last night. And I'm going to try to interpret this thing as I go with this first one. So here we go. I dreamed about this house. It was a new construction. A house usually refers to a nation, a city, or someone. The house was not mine, so it's obviously not talking about me. It was being built in America's heartland, in a typical neighborhood. I walked around to the back. The back refers to looking to things that are going to be in the past or are in the past. I walked around to the back, and the weather was just normal. Spiritual circumstances as weather in a dream. Then a voice said, they have had major issues with installing the gas line. If you don't know in a dream, if you dream of getting gas like in your car, it's like spiritual driving forces is what it refers to, getting gas. And this was a gas line. And it can refer, to power. It can. So no more work was being done on this structure. Something had just suddenly happened and stopped them from building this new structure, this, normal residence. Then a voice said this, on the gas line, if the ladder slips, there will be no neighbors or anyone to get them down. They'll be left hanging. Well, just remember America's mystery, Babylon, and the ladder is Jesus Christ. And if you don't tell the truth and walk in truth, that's slippery places. If the ladder slips, there'll be nobody to help get them down. And in the old days, when you got the death sentence, which mystery Babylon wind up getting one of these days, they hanged them. They'll be left hanging. And I saw no one working on the gas line. I looked from the backyard, referring to the past, at the roof. The roof refers to the spiritual covering. They had decked the whole backside. So it's something spiritual to do with the past. And it was with OSB board. A board in a dream usually refers to a committee or something like that. And if you look to the papacy or the papal side of it, Order of Saint Benedict, would have referred, to a board. And they call that board that they use commonly that's like wood chips put together, OSB board too, physically. And they had covered and shingled the upper 2/3, the roof with Shasta white, 3 tabs. 2/3 of the roof was covered, but the bottom last third, wasn't. It was bare decking and it had rained and the OSB board had ruined, or the glue had, failed and the wood chips were coming apart. Well, just remember, Jesus is the only thing that holds us together. And, the board up in heaven, of the 24. And America had left God out, so, a roof or spiritual covering failed. It talks about 1/3, of the trees and stuff being burned up. It's along that line, 1/3, 1/3. And it was on the bottom, so it's like pointing you again toward the foundation. The bottom part is what holds everything up, on anything. And see where I was. And I dreamt the song by Milli Vanilli, Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. And you know, America is a woman. And there was some word that the gas line could blow up or fail at this house in the future. And then there was something they said that, oh, the methane could blow up or something like that. And I think the house was in Oklahoma, and I woke up. The second dream, I dreamed that the black triangles, which I found out were called vectors, that looked like arrows, I dreamed that they were the Illuminati turning everything around. Then all of a sudden I started dreaming, yeah, this is why it's Isaiah 47 and not 74. And this is why this is written in Isaiah 47. Then a voice said, it's not 7-4, meaning the date 7-4. It's 47. They got things all turned around. And then it said, this vector was at the Luxor. And then I woke up. Well, Luxor means light bringer. And you know, sadly, yeah, that was Lucifer, you know, that did that. And I woke up. That was that dream. Here's the one from October the 5th of 2017. My second dream that night, I dreamed I was at my mother's house in the living room. You know, your mother is what bears something, you know, a nation or something, you know, like who gave birth to this nation or this person, your mother. And I was in the living room. There was a TV set. TV, you know, refers to messages incoming. And it was a 48-inch, and it was turned at an angle so you couldn't really see what was on it. You know, they were kind of wanting to hide it. You know, it's why it was turned at an angle in my dream. And so I moved around, meaning I made an effort to search a thing out. So I moved around in the dream. It was a weather forecaster telling you a spiritual situation, the Weather Channel. And there was this storm, and it had hit, and someone said, and they have not gotten rid of all the Crag debris yet. C-R-A-I-G, that's another word for like Crag and the rock, and it says when the judgment comes that they'll be telling the rocks to fall on them and hiding, you know, in the rocks, you know, the Crag debris. Crag means crag. It said they have not gotten rid of all the Crag debris yet. So this TV weather moved over to Washington, D.C. The weatherman was saying, with the latest hurricane, it may hit the Pentagon. And then I saw this on the map. You know, the 20 feet symbol, 20 and then one dash. But the weatherman said it may get 20 inches of rain. And then I said, God, I said in this dream, I wish God would step up judgment on the Illuminati. And they had another hurricane and no name was given. And then it said, and there was trouble in Kansas City too with storminess. And I woke up. And we'll just, another, I just know that it was coming up all over everywhere. So I'll just start in Genesis in chapter 11 and verse 2 and 3. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Well, yet looking around this other place, I dreamed there was Shiner, Texas, you know, that was right above Houston and all of that. I thought that that was pretty strange. You know, Shinar, and they dwelt there. Verse 3, And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick and burn them slowly, like you put them in a kiln, to make them get hard. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. In verse 4 they said, Go, let us build us a city with a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the whole face of the earth. Well, they fortified the tower after 9/11. So we'll read Ezekiel 13, verses 10 through 15. And verse 10, it said, because they have seduced my people, saying, Peace, and there was no peace, and one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. Verse 11, there you have it. 13:11 was coming up. It was all over everything. Well, this is what Ezekiel 13:11 says. And say unto them which daub it with untempered mortar, that it shall fall. There shall be an overflowing shower, and you, O great hailstones, shall fall, and a stormy wind shall rend it. Verse 12, Lo, when the wall is fallen, shall it not be said unto you, Where is the daubing? Where have you daubed it? That means the judgment will be total, and there'll be no evidence left, of it. Verse 13, Therefore thus saith the Lord God, I will even rend it with a stormy wind. Notice it was twice. Genesis 41:32, if things twice established to the Lord and will come to pass. And that's his word, not my word. So it says, Therefore thus saith the Lord, I will rend it with a stormy wind in my fury, and there shall be an overflowing shower in my anger, and great hailstones in my fury to consume it. Verse 14, So will I break down the wall that you have daubed with untempered mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered. It's pointing to look at the foundation. And it shall fall, and you shall be consumed in the midst thereof, and you shall know that I am the Lord. Verse 15, Thus will I accomplish my wrath upon the wall, and upon them whom have daubed it with untempered mortar, and will say unto you, The wall is no more, and they who daub it. And verse 16, I'll go on and read it. To wit, the prophets of Israel which prophesy concerning Jerusalem, and which see visions of peace for her, and there is no peace, saith the Lord God. We're going to skip over here to Ezekiel 22 and 30 and 31. It says, And I sought for a man among them who should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me that land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. Verse 31, Therefore I have poured out my indignation upon them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath, and their own way have I recompensed upon their own head, saith the Lord God. Well, there's a mystery out there. It's been in front of your face since the 80s. The Gap Band tells you all about it. The Gap Band sings that song, You tear me up, you tear me up, you dropped a bomb on me, you tear me up, you tear me up. The Gap Band. There's nobody to stand in the gaps. And then you got to pray. You got to get up early in the morning. The Gap Band told you early in the morning you got to get up. Pray about it. And you can find the gaps also in Ezekiel 13. Look at this other thing. Make sure that we got everything. I had a dream back in 2013 where I dreamed about Oklahoma natural gas, and a voice in that dream, it said this, it said, Oh yeah, that's on. It said, yeah, that's Oklahoma Natural Gas. Oh yeah, that was Betty Ong, and I woke up. Come to find out, she was on flight 11 with 9/11. And you know, I told you about Hurricane K. Colorado means colored red. The dark night rises, and you know, there was Hurricane K, and you know, storms refer, you know, to judgments, and you know, as far as the rapture date setters, you know, I saw a bunch of that, and I just say this: the rapture will happen when it happens, and I have set no date for it. I will not set a date for it, because I don't know, and I've just watched a whole bunch of them set dates and then they don't come to pass, and you know, that's what I say about the date setting and things like that. And if I see any more, and I don't, and hope you enjoyed this, and I'm sorry this was a little long, but I wanted to cover those dreams and